What is it with Kirito from Sword Art Online being the bog standard character design today? I swear I've seen this man copy pasted multiple times. You have Shadow from Eminence and Shadow, Fate Graphite from Berserk of Gluttony, and Guts from Berserk. It's crazy how so many people have copied the OG Kirito. And before you start, the Guts comment was a joke. Please go easy on me. Today, however, I didn't want to talk about the Black Swordsman. I wanted to talk about the Black Crowbarsman, the atomic goat himself, Shadow.
I am atomic.
If you are a fellow Eminence and Shadow enjoyer, why not join the Traff Gang and like and subscribe? I recently watched Eminence and Shadow and finished the first season. I was still working my way through the second season. But man, was I blown away by the lack of anything that is within this story, but yet something that consistently got me so hype and excited. So the plot of Eminence and Shadow revolves around our main character, Shadow, who I don't actually remember his real name. And let me be honest with you real quick, because I'll touch on this later. I don't remember any characters' names because none of them necessarily stand out that much. It's just Shadow. Like, he stands out enough when he's in his shadow form. I guess it's not a form, but when he's going by Shadow. Eminence and Shadow is your bog standard Isekai. Our main character dies in the real world and gets reincarnated into another world where he leads something called Shadow Garden. Now, Shadow Garden itself has its own plot that revolves around freeing the elves and trying to figure out what happened to them to get possessed, and it actually goes pretty in-depth with it, even though it's not a focus of the show. But Shadow himself is just following the main plot line of, I want to be a background character unless I'm Shadow and I am destroying stuff or fighting stuff. That's the whole plot. That's really all there is to know about the plot. We are just focused on normal daily life Shadow and shady operations Shadow. One of them is just trying to figure out how to be a back character, and nothing ever goes right for that. Like, all the things that happen to him are things that happen to main characters and pretty much every show. Okay, not every show, but a lot of isekais. It's by random chance while he's trying to just not stand out. And then you have the shady Shadow, the leader of Shadow Garden, I guess you could use to specify. And he's always flashy and doing big things, and he always has to deliberately set up his moments to be as precise and theatric as possible. Like there's a part where he's trying to convert someone to Shadow Garden, and the setup for that is he's playing a big piano in an underground where there shouldn't be anyone, and it's by a piece from Mozart, Moonlight Sonata, I think. I can't remember exactly, but he's just playing it, and then she walks up, and in his head, he's like, this is as great as I thought it would be as a piece to play in the backdrop of one of Shadow's big moments. And it's so, like, almost fourth wall breaking, but it's not, which makes it great. Like, I can't explain it any better than that. Shadow himself is just a great character. Like, he's a fresh of breath air when it comes to isekai protagonists, because nowadays you either go one of two ways. One way, they're just really annoying and perverted, and those are the isekai protagonists that we generally hate, except for Rudius, by personal opinion at least. If your opinion differs, that's fine, whatever. I personally like Rudius's character growth, but that's for another video. This isn't about Rudius. And then you have more serious protagonists that are not perverted at all, but somehow Shadow hits this like middle ground where he's not perverted, but he's not serious. Like, he's the goofiest main character you have ever met, and it's amazing. Really, Shadow is a great bland MC because he's trying to be bland, except for when he's trying to be flashy. Like, that's his whole purpose. I know isekais as a whole have been kind of worn out. Like, they're really hard to pick up any new isekais because how many times can they reinvent the wheel? How many times can they keep doing the same type of story? But every now and again, you get a surprise. Eminence and Shadow doesn't really stand out. It's great, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't stand out. It's no real different from any other isekai, but I feel like that's what makes it an amazing within so many isekais that are trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, it's like you have a bunch of ones and then you start getting twos and threes, and then it goes back to ones when you're just over encumbered by twos and threes, and that's enough to change it up. And I feel like Eminence and Shadow does that. It's a really weird description. Isekais are tiring. I get it. But this is one that I would highly recommend checking out just because it's weird. It's funny. You know, it's easy to laugh at. There are some really good moments in it. And just every time Shadow shows up on scene, it is this big spectacle. And when he ends the fight with "I am atomic" and just blows up wherever he's at, who ever thought of that raw ass line followed by the actions? They need a raise or something. It's the author who did that, obviously. So someone needs to tell him to give a raise to himself. I don't know. And then the fights on their own are spectacles. I'm not going to go into details about that because the biggest spectacle was the season finale, and he's fighting two people, and it's crazy. I watch Eminence and Shadow. It is such a good show for just turning your brain off. Literally, this is the definition of a show you turn your brain off to watch and you enjoy it. Don't look into the plot. Don't try to find character development. There's some there that's going on in the background, but it's not worth paying attention to. Just watch the show to have a good time. That's what I did. And it was a great experience. Just watch it. Turn your brain off, have some fun. If you want to watch it with some friends, that might even be better. You know, I'm done recommending it. I can't recommend it enough. I could sit here for the next 10 minutes just telling you to watch it. God, I can't talk. But yeah, that's really it. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. As I said, join the Traff gang. Why not? Woo! Videos every Wednesday. Woo! Yeah, otherwise, peace.